Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, it's weird to say. I haven't done a video in so long. I'm talking about in so long. I stopped doing it. I don't know. I just wasn't motivated. That's me though. I get really motivated and I want to do something and then I'm in it and then I don't want to do it anymore. Not that I don't want to do it anymore. I just don't find the motivation in me, which is something I gotta work on. But yeah, I wanted to do a video about my experience with a high-risk pregnancy. Something that I never expected, I never would have thought it would have happened. So I'm gonna go over how it went. So it all started off when I was 14 weeks pregnant. I went to go get my first ultrasound. When I went there, yeah, we did everything. It's like at that moment it just feels so real. Because when they tell you you're pregnant, you're like, no, I'm not. And yes, you are. So yeah, it just feels really real right then and there, and it's such a beautiful experience. So after that, took us into the room and she came in and she was like, oh, we saw your baby has ascites. And I froze. Me and his dad froze. We were like, ascites? Like, we don't even know what's going on. She left the room. She's like, oh, I'm gonna be right back. And so we're in there like, what is ascites? Like, kind of like freaking out in a way. And then she comes back, she's like, oh, so what that means is that he has some fluid in his stomach. And then she goes back out and we're confused still. We don't know what it means for him. We have no clue what that means. So after she comes back, she tells us that there's amniotic fluid around his abdominal area and that it is risky. So they sent us to another hospital the next week. And when we got there, it got worse. So it was around his abdominal area, around his lungs, and skin edema, which is swelling of the skin. So at that point, it's considered Hydrops, Fetalis. I never knew what that was. I never heard it before. I didn't know how serious it was. They told us, and they were like, "You guys have a really sick baby." And so they explained that with Hydrops Fetalis, it's a rare condition, which it's kind of a 50-50%, chance. But the fact that they found it so early on, they were already telling us that, there's a chance he might not make it full term, that there might be a stillbirth, that he could die right after being delivered. So, they told us that. We set up many appointments after, and I'm gonna put the pictures of the 14th week and then the 15th week and show you guys what they meant by amniotic fluid, like how they could see it. And that little meeting, well, it wasn't much of a meeting, it was just one-on-one, like his dad and I, and then a counselor. And she was telling us about options that we have to figure out why it's happening, what's making it happen. And she gives options with it. It could be Down syndrome, it could be a heart problem that could be causing it. And she told us about an amniocentesis, which is they place a long needle into your stomach, passing your uterus, and they take some of that amniotic fluid and they sample it. So they didn't find anything. Every time we went for any test, nothing was found. We didn't know why he was going through this. There was a point where he didn't have extra fluid around his lungs and down. I think it was just a skin edema. And we got so happy, so excited, like, oh, this is good. And then it came back again and it was worse. And as he grew, fluid accumulated more and more, but it didn't look like it was accumulating like faster. It was just accumulating as he was growing. So I was trying to get a second opinion, like I wasn't accepting it. They talked to us about terminating the pregnancy. Of course, they gave you options. And for me, no, I didn't want to terminate my pregnancy. Every time we went to appointments, it was just the fluid building up, but his heart rate was strong. He was moving and everything. So yeah, they transferred us to a hospital here in Chicago, which is a pretty big hospital. I think a lot of people know it. So I started coming here for my appointments, my OB. So I transferred our care. We would have days we would be at the hospital like almost all day. I'm talking hours of doing, I've had MRIs and echograms, ultrasounds, like them hearing the heartbeat. And we would have these meetings where all the doctors, the specialists, counselors, I think nurse practitioners, duh. Sorry, this lady popped in my head. I love her so much. She's been there throughout the whole thing. Yeah, so those meetings were very hard because every time you would hear your baby is getting worse, it's getting worse, he's sick, it's the worst case we've seen. It got to the point where they weren't giving him much of a chance. They were telling us that he wasn't gonna make it, that we could keep going. Of course, they were gonna respect with what I wanted to do, and I always told them if he's fighting, if his heart rate is good, he's moving, I'm gonna keep fighting with him. I'm gonna be right next to him. Then it comes to the doctor appointment and these meetings, and they tell you the same thing, and you get so down again. But I guess it was just for those like days, because then as soon as I would kind of just get myself back into positive thinking, I would be okay. Of course, I would still get emotional at home. It's just something that I didn't want to believe either. Like, I did not want to believe. And then it came closer to being induced. So we agreed I'm gonna be induced. We were gonna wait till I was 34 weeks pregnant because he wasn't gonna be able to make it after. I was huge, and I will post a picture. But I was huge. People were asking me if I was gonna have twins. I'm like, no. There was extra fluid in him, there was extra fluid in me, so it was pretty hectic. So yeah, at the end, it just ended up just giving us basically like a 1% chance of him surviving. And when I was 32 weeks pregnant, I wasn't 32 weeks pregnant, I was 31 weeks pregnant. I'm so sorry. I was 31 weeks pregnant for this one. We had an appointment, and they were basically telling me like, I think that us waiting another 2 weeks isn't gonna benefit anything. It's not gonna make anything better. It's gonna be the same thing. And after those 32 weeks, I was putting myself at risk now. So I was like, if waiting is not gonna benefit anything, then let's do it. So we did, and they were like, okay, so we're gonna have you come Monday, which is the day that I hit 32 weeks. So the beginning of my 8 months. So yeah, coming up to that day, I was set to be induced the 25th of October. So the day of my induction came, and for that we had planned taking out extra fluid from my baby's belly because his belly was measuring like 42 weeks, I think, 42 weeks gestation age, which is way past like their due date size, what they should be. So we were worried about that for delivery. I was like, I want natural. Like, I didn't even want epidural, y'all. I didn't want it. But my OB was like, I would really recommend it because you're gonna have the balloons, you're being induced, you're still gonna be poked through your stomach, and tearing, because like I said, his belly was huge, so tearing. She thought I was gonna tear all the way through, and that freaked me out. She was like, I would really recommend it, Brisa. We don't even know we had to do a C-section. And honestly, I think it was like the best option for me, because who knows how it would have been. But I took it. So after I took it, they did the 3 needles, they took out some extra fluid, did the balloons, and when they checked to see how dilated I was already 1 centimeter dilated at 32 weeks pregnant. So we waited for the medicine to kick in, everything. I ended up being at 4 centimeters for like hours. So then they checked me, and they were noticing that my baby's head was floating because all of that extra amniotic fluid in my uterus. So his head wasn't like down, so I wasn't gonna keep like dilating more. So what they did is they broke my water. I kid you not. I don't know what the normal amount is for how much comes out, but mine was a lot, and it was a lot. I was like, but like I said, I had extra fluid. So after that, things kind of accelerated pretty fast. I was in there at 8 a.m. on October 25th, and I gave birth the next day, October 26th, around 12 something. I'm not gonna say the exact time, but p.m. So it was about like a little bit over 24 hours. Labor was pretty well. It was scary. Like it was so many emotions at once. I didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was gonna happen with him. We didn't know anything. But thank God everything went well. As soon as he came out, he was intubated. The things that we knew that were gonna happen if he was gonna make it, it was gonna be a long NICU stay. His lungs were not gonna be properly developed. So we already knew most likely intubated, which he was. So yeah, that night at the NICU, I went to go visit him with his dad, and that night they told us he's on the most support we could support him with. He's on full support. If he desats and does it, basically codes, they asked us, do you guys want us to try or give up? Because he was already on full support. I couldn't answer that question there. I froze. I didn't know what to say. They made it seem like he doesn't like handle it. If it's not enough for him, then should we try again? Like, would it even help? You know, so that night was hard. But like say, thank God, he made it through. We have been in a NICU about 7.5 months, because he is almost 7.5 months. So it's been a really long journey. Something, honestly, I never expected it. Later on, we found out that it is something in his genes, not hereditary, like it wasn't passed down. It's just something went wrong. This is honestly, it's so rare to happen, like 1 in a million or 1 in 100 million. Like it was just random. Like the chance that it'll happen to in my next pregnancy, it won't happen. Fetalis is when they find amniotic fluid in 2 or more places in the baby. And like I said, it starts off 50-50. If found out early on pregnancy like mine, they normally don't give you much of a survival rate. What I would do is I would get on YouTube and I would look up stories about Hydrops Fetalis, and some were negative, but I would try to look at the positive, and I would see like the survival, like the 1% chance this baby made it, he only had 10%. Those would keep me going. Those would make me keep praying to God and keep my faith, because looking at that, I'm like, my baby, he's gonna be a freaking miracle. Like he's gonna beat this. He's gonna be okay. Like, no, like it can't just take him away. He's gonna be okay. And thank God he's been through a really rough path these past few months. We all been. It's a roller coaster. Being a NICU mom, it's a roller coaster. But I think that being in a NICU is probably more common than you think, whether it's 2 days or 9 months or a year or even more. It's very common, and you go through so many emotions. Honestly, so many emotions. You never know what's gonna happen. Your baby's the boss. And with my baby, it's something, he's had a really unique case that sometimes this worries me, because they don't really have a baby or another kid to compare him with. So it's like I said, it's what he decides that he likes or doesn't like. Yeah, today he is not intubated through his mouth, but he does have a trach tube. He's been had it for a month. I just wanted to share my story about it. I think that once we get pregnant, we should always have in mind that anything could happen in our pregnancy. It is not our fault. It's not your fault. It's something that could randomly happen. It's something that is hereditary. If it is, it's not your fault, you know, it's in there, and what can we do about it? But as long as you stay strong, you really try to have faith, whether it's strictly the universe, whether it's strictly a God, whether whatever belief you want to believe on, but have faith, okay? I think that's what helped me a lot. And we have a really strong family, a really supportive family who's really been there with me. I don't stay at home, so my whole life has changed for me since that day. Literally gave birth, everything changed. I mean, prior it was changing. It was scary. I did have a gender reveal. I didn't have a baby shower because we didn't know if he was gonna make it. So I feel like if I would have had a baby shower and things would have gone differently, it would have been much more hurtful. So now we are really preparing for things. We are hoping to be back home soon. If I could give advice, like I said, keep your faith and surround yourself with people who will support you, who are gonna be there for you, who will give you positivity. I know that no matter what they tell you, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're going through, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through it. After a while, it all just starts hearing the same. But at the end of the day, people can't really do much. You will have to tell yourself that it's okay. And I try my best not to stress myself out during my pregnancy. I took so many vitamins to help him out, make him stronger. And honestly, I think that helped him out. Because I took a lot of things that will boost the immune system. And also, other than taking my vitamins, I also tried to be stress-free. I stopped working at 5 months pregnant due to my high-risk pregnancy. And I didn't let shit bother me because nothing was more important than my son. I always try to stay positive. I always try to. My baby is always smiling. He's a smiley baby. All his nurses, they love him. I am hoping to put together a video that I have kind of been working on these past few months. I don't really keep up with it too much just because sometimes it's hard for me to, it's something very personal, but it happens to a lot of people, whether it's Hydrops, Fetalis, or something even worse. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and always be ready for the unexpected, or kind of get yourself ready for that, and be very thankful and feel very lucky to have a healthy baby at home, because many moms don't get that. Many moms don't get to bring their babies home the day that they go home or get discharged. I never realized how much people help until I got in this position where I've needed help, They have charities such as the Ronald McDonald House, which is amazing. Charity called Jackson Chance. There's even moms or grandparents knitting blankets for babies in the NICU. Donating gifts for Mother's Day, donating gifts for Valentine's Day. So many things that there is. I am so thankful that I wouldn't say that I've gone through this, but I would say it's a blessing in a disguise. I've been able to see how much love is in the world, and it's making me be much more thankful, grateful for everything. There are nice people out there. I know that the world is a shitty place, but I think that it's very important to see the good things in the world. Take your time, go outside, be thankful for what God has gifted us in this earth. Even just looking outside is therapeutic. There's so much beauty, whether it's just the sky, whether it's trees, whether it's mountain, whether it's waters. Yeah, I've been very thankful. I've had an eye-opener in a very painful and hard way, but it's inspired me to want to do more with my life, to want to do more to help others, not get myself in this place that the world is so horrible that I get scared and shrink myself, and but yeah guys, I'm sorry this took another toll. Yeah guys, I thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys somewhat enjoyed it, even though it is a hard experience. But if you guys can see a little light, there's so much to be thankful for. There's so much that we have yet to learn. So there's so many ways that people go through really tough times, which this was mine.